This presentation is about Batrachochyrium dendrobatidis in a phylum of Chytridiomycota. These are our group members, which are Farah Adiba, Marisa Dania, Farhanis, and Farisha Farhana.
Batrachochyrium dendrobatidis is an aquatic fungus that forms zoospores and the etiological agent of chytridiomycosis, which is an emerging skin infection affecting amphibians across all others. Batrachochyrium dendrobatidis has appeared globally in the 20th century, leading to a widespread epidemic that has resulted in significant decreases in the populations of at least 501 species of amphibians and likely caused the extinction of 90 species. Batrachochyrium dendrobatidis has two life stages, which is the first one is the sessile reproductive structure known as zoosporangium, and the second one is motile uniflagellated zoospores that are released from the zoosporangium. So next is frogs can be experimentally infected by the zoospores of Batrachochyrium dendrobatidis or by skin contact of or with the infected animals. The causative fungus, which is Batrachochyrium dendrobatidis, produces motile zoospores in water, facilitating infection when amphibians are exposed to the contaminated environments. However, its ability to survive independently in the environment without an amphibian host remains uncertain or unknown. As for the taxonomic description, this species, Batrachochyrium dendrobatidis, falls into the domain of Eukaryota, and the kingdom is under the kingdom of fungi. The phylum is Chytridiomycota in a class of Chytridiomycetes, and the order of this species is Rhizophidialis, while the genus itself is Batrachochyrium.
Hi, my name is Marisa Dania, and for my part, I will explain about the habitat and the characteristic of Batrachochyrium dendrobatidis from the phylum Chytridiomycota. So the first one is about the habitat. Nicholas Money, in his 2016 journal, mentioned that this fungi is an aerobic zoosporic fungi in which they live in freshwater, brackish, marine ecosystem, and can be found abundant in soil in which there is a presence of many organic matter. Many of these fungi are a saprotroph, while the rest is a parasite. Moving on to the characteristic of this fungi, Becker Bloody in his 2021 journal mentioned that these chytrid fungi are small in size. They are also lack of conspicuous morphological feature which make it difficult to distinguish them from the protists. However, the most obvious morphological feature of this fungi is the presence of coinocytic hyphae, in which there is no distinction between the cells. The presence of hyphae is very important to secrete an enzyme that will digest the food externally before it can be absorbed through the cell wall and the plasma membrane. Moreover, about this morphological feature of this fungi, it also has a filament that very long and tubular with the cytoplasm lining and the presence of vacuole at the center of the cell. Next is how this Batrachochyrium dendrobatidis able to obtain their nutrients. This fungi also a heterotrophic organism. They are either saprophytic or a parasite. Thus, they are either absorbing nutrient through the extracellular digestion from derived food of decaying organic matter or through the absorption of nutrient from their host. In addition, there is also a locomotion in which this Batrachochyrium dendrobatidis use its flagella to swim freely in the water. Now, let's talk about the general characteristic of this fungi. First and foremost, this fungi is a eukaryotic organism. Other than that, they have the food reserve in which the food is stored in form of glycogen. Other than that, they have a cell wall that is composed of chitin, polysaccharide, rather than a cellulose. There is also the presence of unique characteristic of this fungi. For example, the cell possesses a zoospore, in which it is a single posterior flagellum that is capable of moving during aqueous phase. Thomas Taylor, in his 2015 journal, mentioned that this fungi is the only fungi that are able to produce this mortal spore during some stage of their life cycle. Additionally, there is also the development of halocarpic thallus during the reproduction stage. The structure of this thallus is very simple, with the presence of sporangium, basal cell, and few rhizome, as stated in a published journal by Frank Gleason in 2008.
So now I will be explaining the life cycle of Batrachochyrium dendrobatidis. As for sexual reproduction has never been directly observed in this species. Therefore, the primary mode of reproduction for this species is asexual reproduction. The asexual reproduction of Batrachochyrium dendrobatidis has two stages. In the first stage, the organism is a uniflagellated motile zoospore. In the second stage, the organism develops into a stationary thallus. So as we can see in this diagram, it first begins with a uniflagellated zoospore, which then develops into an amoeboid zoospore, and then through dispersal, it will infect the skin of a frog. And in the skin of a frog, it will start developing rhizoid, which are root-like structures that are attached to the organism. From there, it develops into a thallus, or when in colonies, multiple thalli. Each thallus will develop into a sporangium, and the contents inside each sporangium will undergo mitosis to divide into multiple zoospores. Once there are multiple zoospores inside the sporangium, the zoospores will be discharged through the discharge tube. And from there, the cycle continues. So here you can see how the uniflagellated zoospore enters the skin of the frog and its development.
So I will be presenting about the importance of Chytridiomycota, which is in Batrachochyrium dendrobatidis species. So they are important because they are decomposers or parasites in ecosystem. So what actually is parasites? Parasites is an organism that lives, survives on or in another species body, usually at expense of its host. So they are also decomposers because they breaks down or eats any decaying material for its own energy sources. And the Batrachochyrium dendrobatidis species is important on the declining of frog populations. So this happens when the chytrid fungus attacks the keratin in the skin around the animal's feet and mouth. So, in this presentation, we can conclude that Batrachochyrium dendrobatidis species in a phylum of Chytridiomycota from kingdom of fungi usually lives in fresh water. Some lives as saprotroph species, and the rest are parasites. So, what exactly is saprotroph? Saprotroph is organisms that feed on non-living organic matter known as dendrites at microscopic level. Also, we have determined its characteristics that divided into 5 materials, which are its morphology, mode of nutrients, locomotion, its general characteristic, and lastly its unique characteristics. We also have determined its life cycle and its importance as for declining species. So we include our 13 references. That's all from us. Thank you for your attention.